I would like to welcome all of you to this event. So today is the second semi-final of the inter-university debate on Gen AI, organized as a part of AI for Innovation, Design and Education Workshop and Conference, which is also known as the AID Workshop and Conference. This is conducted by Learn with the collaboration of the UNESCO Chair at Asia Pacific University of Malaysia. Before starting the debate, let me just give an idea like what happened last week in semi-final one. So last week, semi-final one was between University of Ruhuna and University of Colombo. So in that debate, University of Colombo won. So today, the semi-final two debate is between University of Peradeniya and Jaffna. Before we move into the debate, I'm privileged to invite Dr. Asita Bandarnayaka, our CTO of Learn, to address the gathering.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second semi-final of this youth debate on Gen AI. As we all know, generative AI and the next generation of AI is upon us. Whether we like it or not, that's the reality, and we have to march forward with this new technology and whatever it has hold in for us going forward. So just to give you a quick background on exactly the entire program, this is, as Andrea mentioned, this debate is part of a workshop and conference that is Lanka Education and Research Network, is organizing on generative AI. So let me just give you a brief background on the idea about that workshop and conference. It's called AI for Innovative Design and Education workshop and conference, which will be held from March 11th to 15th this month in Kandy. It's by Lanka Education Research Network jointly with Asia Pacific University and Innovation Malaysia. Who are the UNESCO chair in AI education. And so this is, as I mentioned, is happening in under auspice of UNESCO chair. Okay. So especially designed to enhance the pedagogical and research capabilities of educators to the integration of Gen AI tools. The workshops will be conducted over 4 days. Each day specifically dedicated to a specific model. And these modules are focusing on things like elementary and secondary level teaching, targeted towards the teachers in that level. AI learning design, targeted towards higher educational environment. And then you have focusing on a module focusing on research, module focusing on academic writing, module focusing on health professionals. How can they use Gen AI to improve the clinical education and patient care, as well as using Gen AI to improve the efficiency in administrative process. So there are multiple modules, as I mentioned, to focus on different aspects of how Gen AI can be utilized for improving the usage. And also, so this is going to be held over 5 days, 4 days. We are going to have the workshop on the last day, on Friday. We are going to have the AID conference. And as part of the conference, we will have the final of the debate in the afternoon on March 15th. And the winner of this conference of this debate, semi-final 2, will take part in that physical. And just about a brief discuss about Learn, who we are. So Lanka Education and Research Network is the national research and Learn has been the catalyst to bring internet to Sri Lanka and to set up the first wide area network in Sri Lanka. And since then, we have been providing internet connectivity and services to higher education institutes, research institutes, the UGC ministries, and other other institutes that request our services. And moving on from there, we are now getting into providing more services like the capacity building and other services in AI education and so forth. So, so that's a brief background about the services. We are doing this with along with the blessings of the Ministry of Technology, who are working on the DG-Con movement as well. And so that's about it, about the workshop and the conference. And the objective of the workshop, conference, as well as this debate, is to raise the awareness of the effects of AI uh, in uh, in the education as well as the society, and moving forward with it. So the good and the bad and the ugly of Gen AI and that these technologies have on us. So without taking much time, I would like to wish both the teams all the very best, and we hope to see uh, you at the finals on March 15th. So once again, all the very best. We let the best team win. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the information shared. So next, in our agenda, it is to introduce the teams that we'll be debating today. So as you all can see on screen, the proposition team is University of Peradeniya. We have Udara, the captain, Kamali, Sasmita, and Senuri. University of Jaffna will be the opposition team. Shokina will be the captain, Pirudini, Nadun, and Shevodi. Now, let me introduce the judges. So, for today's event, we have our judges, Mr. Kovida Rajiva Bakmideniya. He is currently employed as a lecturer. Previous work experience includes building department, water board, Sankin, and he is also a debating adjudicator. Ms. Senuri Munasinghe, attorney at law, former winning captain of English debating team of the Sri Lankan Law College. Dr. Lahiru Arya Singha, architect in data science. So next, as you all can see on screen, the topic for today's debate is the use of AI in education exacerbates existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. Let me announce once again the proposing and the opposing team. So the proposing team is University of Peradeniya and the opposing team is University of Jaffna. So once the debate is over, the judges will discuss and they will announce the verdict. Now it's time for me to introduce the timekeeper and the moderator of the debate. Aparna Thevara Peruma is the moderator of the timekeeper, and the moderator of the debate is myself, Andrea Rajaya. Next, let me move on to the guidelines. So students, debaters, we have already shared this information with you all via email, but we are informing you all once again. So you have to rename yourselves as follows. Proposition or opposition, and then you put your speaker number and the speaker name. Captains, you can use the following, which says C, proposition or opposition, speaker number, and your name. If a speaker loses connection mid-speech, the timer will be paused for 1 minute to allow the speaker to reconnect and continue from where they left off. If the speaker fails to reconnect within a minute, another member from the team must continue on their behalf. Speakers must have their cameras turned on while speaking. At other times, you may have to have your camera switched off. So before you start the debate, you can give us an alert that you're starting the countdown with 3, 2, and 1. So when we move to the next slide, just an information for you debaters. Speakers, you all will have 4 minutes and the captain will have 5.5 minutes to sum up. So we will be having 3 colored slides. So the green color slide depicts that you are in between 0 to 3 minutes. And the orange color slide depicts that you have 3 to 4 minutes. So when your time is up, which means like it's 4 minutes and it's done, a red color slide will appear. When it comes to the captains, the green color slide will be from 0 to 4.5 minutes. The orange slide will be from 4.5 to 5.5 minutes. And the red slide will appear when the time is up. So now we can commence the debate. First of all, let me check whether the judges are ready. Mr. Peradeniya, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Senuri Munasinghe, are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
Thank you. Dr. Lahiru Arya Singha, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right. Thank you so much. So now it's time for us to commence the debate. I would like to invite the proposition speaker 1, Udara.
I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1. Do you all have a laptop and a smartphone? Yes, right? But do you think that all the people in the world have this laptop and the smartphone? No, right? That's impractical. Yes, we admit that the laptop is useful, the smartphone is useful, and both of them are advanced. But does that mean this usefulness, this advancedness can be accessed equally by all the people in the world? Dear panelists, ladies and gentlemen, and my colleagues, proposing the idea that the use of AI in education exacerbates existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. Let me simplify the topic. First, I'll let you know what AIs are. Artificial intelligence, the ability of a digital computer or computer-controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings. Types of AIs. So based on the capabilities, there are types of AIs like narrow AI, general AI. Based on functionalities, there are like reactive web machines, limited memory, and based on technologies, there are AIs like machine learning, deep learning. So let me ask you one fundamental question. What do you think the objective of an AI is? The objective is developing systems that can analyze large data sets, identify patterns, and make data-driven decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, dear panelists and my colleagues, even in the objectives in AIs, the reducing inequalities is not even within the objectives of the AIs. If it is not even within the objectives of AIs, how do you suppose such a technology to reduce inequalities within the educational playing field? Moving on, what exacerbates meaning? According to the Oxford Dictionary, exacerbates meaning makes some situation or problem worse, worsening a bad situation. Moving on, what is inequality? According to the Cambridge University definitions, the unfair situation in society when some people have more opportunities, money, and other resources than other people. Moving on, the final part of the topic, leveling the educational playing field. According to the Cambridge University, a situation in which everyone has the same advantages and disadvantages. We can say that it is leveling educational playing field. So, what we called AI exacerbates inequalities in educational playing fields. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues, when it comes to AIs are conditioned in the sense AIs need prerequisites, like it needs devices, it needs networks, it needs proper connections. So not all the people in the world have these devices, this proper connection, and these facilities. Moving on, what are the inequalities within the educational playing field? one, poverty, two, unequal access to facilities. In terms of poverty, this is the major inequality within the educational playing field. Not all the students in the world have access to education. They can't at least afford their fundamental needs like food, clothing, and shelter. So how can they supposed to buy, or how can they supposed to access the devices and network? When it comes to unequal access to facilities, you might say, okay, fine, they cannot buy a computer, but they can go to school and use the school computers. But no, guys, when it comes to the world, the majority of world population is not schooling either. So proposing our arguments, the AIs are conditioned, and AIs marginalized communities will be marginalized more with the use of AIs in the educational field, and it carries biases. So proposing the idea, AIs, the use of AI in education exacerbates existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. Thank you.
Thank you, Udara, for your points. So basically, Udara had spoken about the benefits of laptops and mobile phones and the inequality on education. Then she elaborated on the topic of today's debate, plus the difficulties that the students face. So now it's time for the judges to mark the ballots. So next, we will move forward with the opposition speaker number 1, Shokina.
So I'm starting it. 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, respected jury members, my worthy opponents, faculty members, and audience. Today, I feel highly privileged to radiate forth my view in against the motion of the use of AI in education exacerbates existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. As the speaker of the opponent team, I have some duties to represent and to pick some terminologies and to represent from our own points of view. So first thing, I as the team member, I have the rule to define what is meant by AI. AI normally we can define easily as artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence in terms is a field of science concerned with building of computers and machines that can reason, learn, and act in such a way that would normally require human intelligence, or that involves data whose scales exceeded what humans can analyze. This is a code or terminological definition from the Google Cloud News Setup. And also when we considered about the exacerbates. So what is the meaning of exacerbate? It's like aggravate, like making worse off. So when we talk about inequalities, I can easily render in inequalities in sense of humanities. So gender, caste, religion, status, and ethnic stereotype is formally concerned in the traditional education system. And whereas in the AI technological and AI advancement education, that is a boundless, and it is in a break-free society to learn beyond the boundaries. And also the leveling in sense of expressing equality in the sense of the educational pattern and how it is elaborated. So what is education? Education is the process of learning knowledge, skills, values, and habits through various forms of teaching, training, or study. So it is typically occurs in the form of virtually happens to the traditional method, which has happened in school, colleges, instituted. But with the AI, it's beyond the boundary, beyond the technical and traditional patterns. And it is the goal of education is to provide the maximized improvements to the individual, from the individual to the community, to do betterment in the society. So I would like to begin with a quotation of the Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire. Education must begin with the solution of the teacher-student contradiction by reconciling the cause of the contradictions. So both are simultaneously teachers and students. So that is the baseline of our argument that we are going to do. So in this bound, the AI is going to be diversified equally for students and teachers. So as my opponent leader stated that, so she asked a question, what is the objective of AI? So I would like to say that What is the objective of AI in humanity? That AI in humanity enhances the human well-being. The primary objective of AI in the development of humanities should be improve the equality of life for the individual and the communication. We are trying to focus on different levels. So as my team, my second speaker, she's going to focus on the specialized education, and the upcoming whip speakers, the third whip speaker is going to present about the secondary education and the formation and how AI is involving on that process. And the final whip speaker is going to present the high level educational policies and high level educational structures, and to represent the use of AI oriented education is not exacerbate existing inequalities, rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Shokina, for the information that you shared. So while the judges are marking their ballots, let me just summarize what points she spoke about. So Shokina spoke about defining on AI. Then she spoke a few points about education, the agenda, what her team members will be moving forward. And she brought a point about the baseline of the teachers and the students. So next, we have our proposition speaker 2, Thamali.
Okay, I'm starting 3, 2, 1. Good evening, everyone. According to this proposing topic, the use of AI in education widen existing inequalities rather than providing equal opportunities, potentially deepening disparities in access to quality education. Firstly, when considering access and infrastructure to AI-powered educational tools often require access to technology and a stable internet connection. But not all students have equal access to their resources, which widen the gap between privileged and marginalized students. For an example, only 6% of children and young people in low-income countries having internet access compared to 87% in high-income countries. Moving on to the next point, developing countries often face challenges such as limited internet connectivity, inadequate infrastructure, and a lack of skilled teachers. Introducing AI in education widens the gap as it requires access to devices, reliable internet, and technical expertise, which is not be readily available in those developing regions at the present. This could lead to a scenario where students in developed countries beneficial from AI-powered learning experiences, while those in developing countries are left behind, further depending in educational inequalities. Moreover, the development and implementation of AI in education requires significant financial investments, which may be prioritized differently in developing countries already who is struggling with basic needs such as healthcare, infrastructure, and poverty alleviation. Consequently, these countries may not have the resources to adapt and integrate AI effectively into their educational systems, perpetuating existing disparities. The next important point our team would like to bring out to this audience is that while AI promises personalized learning experiences, it also reinforces standardized testing and curriculum which not cater to the diverse need and learning styles of all the students equally. For an example, the answer provides from AI to the question asked from grade 1 student, grade 5 student, and who is in higher education is the same. It is not diverse and not related with learning styles of all the students equally. Then, the next widen of existing inequalities in educational field is due to the digital literary division, where students from disadvantaged backgrounds lack the digital literary skills necessary to effectively use the AI-powered educational tools, further widening the gap between them and their more privileged peers. As the team later brought out the gap between developed countries and developing countries, the use of AI in education indeed has the potential to exacerbate existing inequalities, particularly between developed and developing countries. In developed countries where there is better access to technology and resources, AI can enhance learning experience, personalize education, and provide additional support for students. But at the same time, in developing countries where access to technology and quality education is limited, the introduction of AI widened the gap between those who have the access to AI-enabled education tools and those who do not have. That is why, as the proposing team, we are thoroughly mentioning that the use of AI in education exacerbates existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. My third speaker and fourth speaker will more illustrating about the topic, and they will conclude that the use of AI definitely exacerbates existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. Thank you.
Thank you, Thamali, for your points. So, Thamali, before I give a summary on the points, I would like to inform the judges that they could start marking their ballots. So to summarize, she spoke on how the students have access to internet. Then she gave the importance of AI education. Further, she came up with an example on how this AI education and the learning style supports for the students. Let us wait till the judges are ready for the next speaker. Thank you, sir. So next, we have Peradeniya from the opposition, speaker number 2.
So I'm starting my debate. 3, 2, 1. A very warm good evening, learned judges, my dear proposition team, and my dear team members and the audience. I'm here to put forward my fourth views on the topic of the use of AI in education is not exacerbating the existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. First of all, we have to know the role of AI in the education. This AI has potentially significantly transformed the education by offering more personalized, accessible, and engaging learning experience for all the students. So this is the main perspective of the AI in the education. So our honorable proposition team members, they came and talked so much of things. So first of all, we have to know that this is the perspective of the AI in the education field, that it has the most significant transformation in the education. So our honorable proposition team members come and told that they are having inequalities in the AI because they are having internet connection lost, and because of the third world countries, they can't afford for the AI technologies. Even they are not able to buy laptops and phones. But here, that is not the case of the AI usage in the education. That doesn't exacerbate the inequalities, because here in the population of the world, more than 60% of the people, they are having smartphones. Around 8.31 billion active mobile subscriptions are there nowadays. So even a mobile can lead us to contribute to the AI in the education, because this AI is very user friendly, and it's very personalized. And also they are talking about the inequalities. These inequalities in the old days, the education is restricted for the certain community only, because they know that education, the knowledge is power. So only few people are affordable to go to school or go to the university. So very few community, very few people. But the use of AI in education, it makes a tremendous, marvelous change, that they made every people educated. Even we are in very different fields, and we are in different faculties, but we came to know every field, and our knowledge is diversified because of the use of the education. And our proposition team members, they are talking about the developing and underdeveloping countries differences, but here I am telling that even though the developing countries, not only in education, they are very much focused in all the sectors, in the economy, in the transportation, every sectors. But here we are in the education system. Although the developing countries also have some kind of the AI education that put forward for their country situation. So this is how the role of AI is potentially significant in more personalized, accessible learning experience. They are tailored the instructions, and they are analyzing the student's perspective and telling those things. And this is entirely crystal clear that the existing inequalities doesn't exacerbate by the use of AI. They are more offering the pathway to leveling the educational playing field. Thank you.
Thank you, Peradeniya, for your information. While the judges are marking their ballots, let me just give a summary of what Peradeniya told us with her points. So she was talking about the restriction of education, then the affordability when it comes to education, and how the developing countries have initiated AI education and the role that AI has been playing. So let us wait till the judges are ready for the next speaker. Thank you. So next, we have our proposition speaker 3, Sasmitha.
I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, before moving on to my substantive arguments, I'll be rebutting some of the points brought out by side opposition. And listening to the second speech by side opposition, I just have to say that the ignorance of the speaker has come out very extremely clearly, just by the simple statement she made that, you know what, some more than 60% have smartphones. That means that all 60% or more than 60% of the people have access to AI. She hasn't totally understood what AI is and what large language models which are being used for the imparting of education, how they work. We, in our second speech, said that only 34% of the world's children has internet access of developing countries. Only 34%, ladies and gentlemen. So in this audience, if there were 50, only 17 people in this audience would be having internet access, and the rest of the people will not have internet access, will not have access to any sort of AI, and will not have access to an education which under the model they perpetuate. Okay, and they came out saying, the first and second speakers both came out saying that, you know what, inequalities on the basis of race, on the basis of gender, that prevent people from actually coming in and taking in an education would be solved by AI. Okay, first of all, I have to disagree on the premise that there are so much of inequalities on the basis of race and gender in our country, at least in Sri Lanka, where there are special schools for even different people from different races and people of two different genders to go and get their education. And even when they come into a common education system where they are not necessarily discriminated against. And the second part, where, okay, say we inculcate AI into education. Okay, say their paradigm of, you know what, society is bad, society doesn't let girls learn, society doesn't let some people of some ethnic origin learn. What makes you think that society will let them get access to AI? Because AI it's essentially a luxury for countries which are developing, and they'll definitely, because this is a societal problem rather than an education problem, until society fixes itself, just coming in and just the bringing in AI into education and AI into imparting education will not solve anything. So that point about, you know what, access to education for women and for people of different ethnic backgrounds is not logically feasible, right? And the first speaker of the side opposition made an excellent point, saying that, you know what, teacher-student relationships are important. we wholeheartedly agree, especially we who are a minor player in the world of global politics, who are a developing country whose culture and um, whose cultural references are not inculcated into the data sets which AI is trained on, right? We mentioned that AI is trained on, and it's an already established sort of technology, and AI is trained on established data, right? This data comes from the Western world, the developed world. For example, for us to learn anything about Sri Lankan history, we can't go and ask ChatGPT, okay, tell me what you know about Sri Lankan history. Google doesn't have all the answers. Google search does not have all of the information necessary. And neither does any sort of AI model, nor can they actually tailor the education to whatever specialist requirement. For example, children with disabilities, they will be further cornered because they won't have access for any AI, rather than, but in the real world, in the current context, school acts as a contact point for health authorities and the social care authorities, where they can make an absolute change in these children's lives. So I want to finish my speech saying that AI does not level the playing field, rather it exacerbates the existing inequalities. Thank you.
Thank you, Sasmita, for the inputs you gave. So now it's time for the judges to mark their ballots. While they are marking, let me give a summary of what Sasmita spoke to us today. So he was mentioning that about gender, about discrimination, and he pointed out that AI is mostly luxury, and only in AI for education will not suffice. And at the same time, he mentioned that AI, that's how he summed up, that the AI does not level the playing field. So let's wait. Once the judges are done with marking the ballots, we will move on to the next speaker. Thank you. So next, our opposition speaker 3, Nadun, will be sharing his thoughts.
3, 2, 1. First of all, I would like to address some points given by the first speaker. She talked about inequalities in education. So in here, we are not talking about the inequalities in education, but how can we replace artificial intelligence into that place and enhance the education system? And also, she talked about the lack of facilities for the students. But if we go to a school, we can find a computer. And also in university, we have the computers, Wi-Fi, and everything we need to access the artificial intelligence. And also the second speaker talked about lack of knowledge in teachers. That's why we must use artificial intelligence to enhance the knowledge of the teachers so it can reduce the gap over there. And also she talked about the developing countries. So what do you suggest us to do if we are a developing country and if we don't use artificial intelligence? The whole world is using artificial intelligence and we are not using because we are a developing country. No, we can't do that. What we must do is collaborate with a developed country and use their data for our advantage. If we always say that their data, their databases, so what? We can use it for our advantage. I mean, lighting a candle is better than being in the darkness. And also, when I move on to the third speaker, he talked about the large language models used in mobiles. So he talked about only 60% of the mobile phones. But the thing is, large language models are not limited only to the mobile phones, but also for the administrative purposes. Did you know that there was a capturing of a star using artificial intelligence lately? So if you find your facts right, you must understand that large language models is not only used in mobile phones, but also in the devices with a higher priority. And also, Sri Lanka is a developing country, yes. But if we use LJM Kure's book and ask ChatGPT or Gemini about the Sri Lankan history, they are going to provide us with the historical data and facts. And also, overall, when we talk about the personalized learning, artificial intelligence can tailor personal educational materials for the teachers and also for the learners. Just like our first speaker set the clear baseline about the education in teachers and in students, we can see that immediate feedback functions, early inventions, and teacher support can be extremely enhanced by artificial intelligence. To give you more information, I would like to mention in 2021, a study done in University of Pennsylvania found that artificial intelligence powered tutoring system can be used significantly to improve the education, improve the student learning outcome in primary math. So basically, my focus is on primary education. And in primary math, we have the research details from University of Pennsylvania, and also in 2020 study by the National Center of Education and Research found the students who receive immense feedback on their writing assignments perform better than those who did not use artificial intelligence. So immense feedback is also extremely important in primary education. And also early intervention of the lack of abilities or the lack of focus of the students can be identified through artificial intelligence, and it has been proved by the Stanford University study done in 2019 that AI algorithms can effectively identify students at risk of reading difficulties in kindergarten level, which again and again proves our point. The use of artificial intelligence in education does not exacerbate the existing inequalities, but enhances the education level in a country, in teacher side, and also in students side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nadun, for the information that you shared with us. So, till the judges mark their ballots, let me give a small summary on what Nadun told us today. So, he mentioned that inequalities in education or lack of facilities are available as per the other team members had informed. But he came up with an example saying that if we go to a school, that we can see a computer. So, which he says that the facts that they told, it's not, is quite contradicting. And then he had mentioned that AI can do tailor-made according to the user, be it the teacher or be it the student. And at the same time, when it comes to the assignments, when AI support is taken, he mentioned that assignments could be better output. So till the judges are ready, let's wait on hold. Thank you. Our speaker is Senuri, proposition speaker 4.
3, 2, 1. A very good evening to dear learned panel of judges, members of the opposition, and members of the House. Now, our opposition team talked so much about AI and the role. And the second speaker spoke about how about the role of AI and how all students have access to AI. Now, how can we prove that all students have access to AI? And that's like the biggest problem, because the word all and some has a clearly big difference. If we talk about statistics, you can say everyone, but everyone does not have access to mobile phones or, let's say, good internet connection. Okay, so we have 51,249 students in Sri Lanka that haven't attended schools at all. So that's between the age of 6 and 17. So these students, let alone attending schools, how can they have access to AI? And also in Sri Lanka, 31% is below the poverty line. So these people have problems in finding food. So how can you say that they have access to AI and internet connections? So that point is all broken, because all students don't have access to internet or to AI. So now, and also the third speaker spoke about that all schools in the world have a computer. My friend, you're living in a utopia, because we are in Sri Lanka. You are probably talking about the Scandinavian countries like Finland or Norway, countries like that. But how can you say that all schools have computer? There are schools that don't even have a chair and a table. So that everyone does not have the access to AI or a computer. There are students in Sri Lanka who haven't even seen a computer. So because of that, we can that point is also broken, my dear friend. So all the points, the statistics and the other points that you told, they're kind of true. But the point is, you're not talking about the topic. You're talking about whether AI is good or bad. The topic is not about whether AI is good or bad. AI can be definitely good in some aspects and can be definitely bad in other aspects. But the topic is about whether it bridges the gap between education inequalities or not. So the point is, it doesn't bridge the gap between inequalities because mainly one point is poverty and the other point is all about there are groups such as cornered groups, disabled people who don't have, even in the current education system, with AI or without AI, they are being cornered. With AI, what happens is, if you take it like a flow, with AI, these students, of course, don't have access to AI technologies. People who are blind or mute, they don't have access. And that bridges the gap so much between the people who have access and these other cornered groups as well. So, and also AI won't solve problems like racism, sexism, and those problems are not solved by AI. And also, AI, what is AI? Who developed AI? We have to talk about that also. AI was developed by developed countries, and they have been sold to developing countries. And the developing countries have to depend on those when they don't even have money to bring up their economy. So we have to think of the current world and the world we are living in. It's not about a utopia. And of course, we are living in Sri Lanka, so we have to talk about the Sri Lankan context as well. So, we have to know the limit of AI as well. And there are people who don't know the limit of AI, especially the people don't have the regular access to AI, doesn't know the limit of AI. So with all these problems, we can say that AI does not bridge the gap between this education inequality. Rather, it exacerbates the existing inequalities. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanuri, for the information you shared. So now it's the time for the judges to mark their ballots. Meanwhile, when they are marking the ballots, let me just share what Sanuri spoke about today. So she came up with a few stats on children not attending to school and the poverty line. And she highlighted that AI is less in Sri Lanka. Further, she came up about the disabled people, the groups of disabled people, where she said that they have been cornered and then they have no access towards AI. And she mentioned that AI, while using AI, we should be knowing the limitations and we should know how to limit them. So we will be on hold until the judges are ready for the next speaker. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So now it's time for the opposition speaker 4, Shevodi.
So I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. Honorable judges and my fellow proposition team, a very good evening. So moving forward with the breaking of the points, I would first of all move on to the first speaker. So she nicely spoke about how we do not have the facilities of computers as well as Wi-Fi. But my dear friend, we do have free internet connections as well as computer labs that is provided by the university education as well as in school. So keep that in mind as well. So moving forward, she was also speaking about how the world, how actually AI is used around the world, but not in Sri Lanka. But my dear friend, I would like to give you this point. So specific group of students, which was headed by Ravindula Santa from the University of Jaffna, they created a specific AI called the Sinhala GPT. So that is basically used by the Sri Lankan context. So talking about the developing countries and developed countries, my dear friend, Sri Lanka is currently a developing country. So if a set of students from a particular university can actually build something like that, how can you always demerit a country like Sri Lanka, which is also developing? So keep that in mind as well. Moving forward with the second speaker, she spoke about how the diversified education is actually going to break apart and create a gap between the education system because of AI. But my dear friend, let me tell you this. Because of AI, we have also been able to create and bridge the gap that has been already created. So in the traditional education system, there's already a gap. So we are trying to fix it by using the technology of AI, and the generative AI is going to help each and every student in order to enhance their particular learning skills as well. And also, she was speaking about the developed and the developing countries, where they are going to actually create a small hole in it. But let me tell you this, something is better than nothing, right? So with that context, what we are going to do is we are going to collaborate with the developing countries, with the developed countries, so that we can actually enhance what we have right now with the particular developing country. Moving forward, the third speaker nicely spoke about how it's only a luxury item, and it is actually not giving us the maximum benefit. But let me tell you this, even in a developing country, if we can actually use AI in order to use it as a tool in order to enhance or particularly develop what we have right now, we can actually bridge all these gaps that you're talking about. Moving forward with the last speaker, that is the fourth speaker, she nicely spoke about how the education system is actually based on school. But let me tell you, there are three types of education systems that we are using. There is the formal, the informal, and the non-formal. So my dear friend, you are always trapped in one box and speaking about the formal education. But do not forget that there is informal as well as the non-formal education system as well. So just talking about education, do not restrict yourself into one particular box. Think out of the box. And that is where you find points that AI is actually being beneficial for the education system. So moving forward, the education gap there, you're talking about how the education gap that is being created by the AI is going to affect each and every student in a particular country. But think about this. If you can use AI and actually give knowledge to some particular student who do not actually possess any knowledge in that particular field, then I'm sure you are trying to bridge the gap instead of creating the gap. Finally, with the UOJ students and who have developed this Sinhala GPT, you can see that AI is actually being so much influential in part of the education system, and not just in school system and not just in higher education, that is specifically universities, but also in the field of medical as well as in other clinical phases. We are using this AI in order to bridge the gap. So my dear friends, let me tell you once again that AI in education is actually being beneficial in order to reduce the inequalities that is existing in the country. With that, I'm concluding, and thank you.
Thank you, Sharwati, for the information that you had shared with us. So now it's time for the judges to mark their ballots. Meanwhile, let me give a small summary. So she spoke about Sinhala GPT, and then she was talking that to fix the traditional education with AI that takes away the gap. She was speaking about that. And further, she was telling us that we could collaborate with developing countries. And if if we utilize AI as a tool, we can help to bridge the gaps that we are facing now. Further, she had mentioned that with an example, when it comes to AI, if we give the AI education to, let's say, to a student who is not aware, that will be a very good impact. So let's be on hold till the judges are ready for the next speaker. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So next, we have our opposition speaker, the captain.
I'm starting in 3, 2, 1. Again, a very good evening to you all. So I would like to go with the heading, title, and then I go with my own flow. So the use of AI in education not exacerbates existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. So as the team, as the leader of this house, I am reassuring a term called exacerbates. So I would like to reassure these terminologies for my opponent team to exacerbate. Ladies and gentlemen, because I would like to say that aggravate, it's like make worse. So the use of AI is not making a worse effect for the students in the educational field. I already mentioned in my keynote delivery, as education is not about learning in a classrooms or universities or institute. It's beyond that. Education means the experience that we are learning, right? That education system and experience, how we are giving out, is the best practices that we are earning from universities and colleges and education. That's why we created the baseline as the education must begin with the solution of the teacher-student contradiction by reconciling the poles of the contradiction. So both are simultaneously teachers and students. Because when we compare with the traditional education system, we must be based on the libraries and catalogs and the well-educated person. But when with the involvement and the enhancement and the advancement of AI and technology, we are well developed through different sectors. Beyond the sectors we are really study. So the thing is, the AI is not about in a software or network or laptop or device. It's about software systems, how the technical devices coined and work. So those types of systems that still working on different processes in Sri Lanka too. For best example, that in Sri Lanka, as you said, as you mentioned, the opponent said, as mentioned that yes, we are accepting that there's some methods and how they are teaching. But that's why there's a system called in grammar Nilatari divisions, they have some personal teaching and divisional and technical supports for the students who are not affordable for the devices they are for and learning to be with themselves. So I would like to go with the another thing with the statement call. So for an example, just imagine a knife as a tool, that you have a knife in your hand. You have two options. The first one is cutting an apple, and also the second one is killing a person. So it is your hand how you're going to use. If you want to cut the apple and use the apple for the nutritional level of the development of your own benefit and or your own health, or killing a person and dwelling your own life, or your life in the cells of a prison, that is your hands. So in my team, we are going to present that the AI is a tool, that the use of AI in education, that the AI technology, the involvement with the AI is definitely give a brief that downstairs the existing inequalities. Because as my opponent's friend said, opponent team friend said, that we have so much of topics to talk. Yes, I agree that we have so much of topic to talk, but I would like to say education is the most powerful weapon that we can change the world. So that's why we are choosing that education is a powerful tool that everyone must earn and gain from different sectors from the world through the advancement of AI. As I already mentioned it, the enhancement of human well-being is the well-motivated motto of the objective of AI in the humanity. That's why they are trying to make sure they are giving the higher percentage of education. As my friend said, my team member said that AI using in ChatGPT in the assignments, maybe you mentioned that there is not good, but I would like to say there's a system called AI reference method in your assignments too. That is also a well-known, well-populated and well-known reference code in the method. So as I wrap up as a team member from my side, my second speaker, my partner speaker, she mentioned with the examples of how AI technology is working with the specialized education and how it is involving in the society with the rebutting of the opponent team. And the first whip speaker, he mentioned the personalized education with the reference of 2021 study of Pennsylvania primary education, and also the national study of Pennsylvania. And also he mentioned that the AI algorithm which gains and rates and proves that the technological advancement through AI is very needed for the students with disabilities. And also he mentioned that the equality and equity in education is much needed and much wanted in the education system. And he compared with internet and computers with the university structure and how the universities are giving free Wi-Fi services and how internet facilities to enhance and to make sure. And also the AI reference method and also my third speaker, she mentioned about the Sinhala GPT structure and traditional method with the comparison of education, how it's progressing, and finally utilizing AI tool which can used as a gap to fill the gap between the generation as well as the traditional technological method through the educational pattern. As my team and myself strongly believe that the use is in our hand. The use of AI in education not exacerbates existing inequality rather than offering a pathway of leveling the educational playing field. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Shokina, for giving us the points. So now it's time for the judges to mark their ballots. Let me give a small brief, like what Shokina spoke at the end. So she was telling that education is beyond the students going to college or school. And she came up with an example about a knife and an apple. And she was telling that it is in our hands to decide things. Further, AI is a tool. And she mentioned that education is very powerful and it should be there for everyone with AI. And now we'll just be on hold till the judges are ready for the next speaker. Thank you, sir. So for the sum-up speech, we have our captain from the proposition team, Udara.
Let me start in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with the famous example used by the opponent party, the knife example. Yes, it's true that the usage of knife depends on the person. So if we apply that to this topic, are we supposed to talk whether the use of AIs is good or bad here? Or is it rather that we are supposed to talk about whether AI exacerbates existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field? Moving on, I'll start with the first speaker's first speech. So she told us that AIs are diverse, vast, and it's an advanced technology. Yes, true. AIs are diverse, vast. But what if a student does not have access to that diverse and vast AIs that they talk about? Then isn't that exacerbating the inequalities between two students who has access to those diverse and vast AI technologies and who does not have the access to that vast and diverse AI technologies? Moving on, the place where that they crumbled the meaning of leveling the educational playing field. I clearly told you all that leveling the educational playing field is a situation in which everyone has the same advantages and disadvantages. So, does AI provide everyone in the educational field with same advantages and disadvantages? No, because you yourselves admit that only university students have access to AIs. If they don't have the devices with them, they can go to their IT centers and they can use AIs. But keep in mind, university students are privileged. It's just 30,000 to 40,000 students from the students who do A-levels in a year. And moving on, according to them, leveling the educational playing field is something like that, according to our opponents. So if I have the access to technology, if I have the access to device and internet, okay, you can use AI in vast ranges. So that is leveling educational playing field. But no, when I get that privilege to use this laptop, to use this network, and to use this AI, there are thousands and millions of students outside this space who don't have access to this laptop, this network, and at least for this AI. So is that the leveling of educational playing field that you expect? Well, from the very beginning, we told what are the inequalities in education are. We told very clearly that poverty is one of the inequalities, one of the extreme inequalities within the educational field. And then we move on to the facilities, the unequal access in terms of facilities in education. But does AI have taken any steps to reduce poverty in the countries? You didn't address that point, that aspect. And moving on to the third speaker. So one of my favorite speakers, actually. He told us that talking about inequalities in the education field is not related to this topic. My friend, I would like to rephrase the topic. The use of AI in education exacerbates existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. If it is not about inequalities in the education field, do you think that it's about users and the adverse uses and the benefits and the adverse effects of AI in the educational field? No, this is about how the AI acts in inequalities in the educational field. That's why we told the inequalities in the educational field comes with the poverty, comes with the unequal access to the educational facilities. That's why we told 52,000 something of students do not schooling. True, in universities, we have facilities, but keep in your mind, we are only 40,000 or 30,000 in an intake. So what happened to the rest of the 1 lakh, 2 lakh of students? Okay, moving on. Their baseline, which they talked about pedagogy of education. Fortunately, I also learned that article in my second year, and I got to know that within the same article, they discussed how there are inequalities within the education and how they get worsened when that poverty is not addressed. Please kindly go through the entire article, not only the first part of the article, my dear friends. Okay, we asked whether the disabled students, maybe in the primary schools, maybe in the secondary school, maybe in the university schools, in any form of the schools, any form of learning that you told. So we raised that question, but you never answered us whether the disabled students are privileged to use AI. Okay, the time is up. Our topic is proved already. The use of AI in education exacerbates, means worsens the existing inequalities rather than offering a path to leveling the educational playing field. Leveling the educational playing field means that all of us, all the students in the world should be in the same level. Thank you.
Thank you, Udara, for the points. So the judges can start marking the ballots. Meanwhile, let me give the final summary. So Udara was telling that AI is diverse and vast, and she was asking what would happen if everyone doesn't have the opportunity to use AI. Further, she was telling that all should have advantages and disadvantages. Some students don't have access to AI. And she asked whether that is the level that we are expecting. Further, she mentioned that whether AI has taken any steps to address the poverty. So now we are actually done with the debate, and the judges might be discussing on the final verdict. Until then, I have something for the audience. So I have a task for you. We will be sharing a poll where you could vote for your team. Maybe you all have different views and you all can give your vote. So let me share the screen so you all can select which team will be winning today, whether it is University of Peradeniya or University of Jaffna.
Good evening, everyone. The decision is such that it was a 2-1 split, and the 2-1 split, the side we have to side with is side proposition, actually, because of the marking and discussion after that, we have the winners of today's debate would be the proposing side, that is University of Peradeniya, and a very, very good position by University of Jaffna. They will be not moving forward to the finals. But congratulations to both teams for participating in a good debate. So to have a small review of the after my review, the judge who had the other point of view would come and give his or her point of view. So before that, I will just explain why. So as a debater, as the debate went on, we felt that University of Peradeniya, the proposition team had a good structure across the board, how the roles were fulfilled as to who would be doing what and where they will be doing that. And also most of the time, for me as a debater, I should have told that like they established a certain point, but they didn't go mostly into that. But that is the fact that this topic is about how AI would exacerbate and cause more division. As in, it's bad or good, that is up to another argument, another debate. But the cause of division, if it's personalized education and more personalized to a student, and they will be asking what and not from any AI source and getting any information in, that can be good, that can be bad, but still the fact about this debate is that whether it will cause more division and personalized, how would that? So that is the most establishable point in this debate. So good and bad, you can argue later. You can bring in that argument to this debate, but if you establish that and fixated on it, rather than most of the time talking about that and then talking about again you also going to the good and bad side of things, well therefore then you have not established to a very much to depth as to the topic, considering the topic. So that was what we felt. And as for University of Jaffna, there were so many opportunities for you to debunk most of the points brought in by University of Peradeniya. You had so many opportunities and you didn't do that. You were more fixated on giving your own speeches rather than rebuttal. So in a debate, if you can focus more on the rebutting, then it would have brought more favor by the from the panelists, because we write down the points. Okay, this was said by this student. Was it rebutted by the other side? If it's 8 points established, 4 points debunked, then that's not going to be a good debate. This is not a fixed speech contest. This is a debate. So if that, then the people down the line should understand their own roles. So if the third speaker has something to speak, but then he figures out that, okay, I have so many information and data to debunk the first two speeches done by the other side, I'm going to do that with credible information, then he should do that. Then if he has time, then bring in more points and facts to even the fourth speaker. So that part of the debating aspect, the opposition had was very backward in that sense. So if that was established, I have a good feeling. I have a great, with facts I'm telling you, if that part was covered, University of Jaffna would have won this argument easily. So that is our sense. So the structuredness of the University of Peradeniya compared to University of Jaffna was evident, very evident, and the role fulfillment very evident. And then bringing in facts by UOP, then debunking it from the other side, that was not much delivered, but some of them were. So it was very close. We know we have the ballot paper. It was very close. So that is why. So congratulate both teams for participating and having a good session. And I want you all to make this this practice, this thing that you brought here today, this fire and this gusto, to be incorporated into your lives and to enhance your professional lives in the future as well, so that you are much more open-minded and much more privy to facts, and you make your own judgments, you make your own researching, and then you establish your own opinion about things. So that's what's most important, rather than following a lot of rather than being a part of a herd, get my points. So this is what this leadership qualities is what is brought about more by debating and the teamwork. So that's it. So I want both of you teams to know that you have that in you, and please develop it, and all the best to your futures. Right after the thank you very much. And the other judge who had another opinion would now speak on behalf of his point of view. So yeah, I invite Mr. Lahiru to bring his point of view. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Kovida. So first of all, congratulations for both teams because of participating in this event, and congratulations for the winning team, Minister of Peradeniya. When we were discussing to finalize the final decision, we had some sort of kind of a like different view in my mind because I'm coming from a technical background, of course, data science background. So I was thoroughly checking the technical facts, the validity of technical facts, the technical points and the claims made by both the teams. So in that aspect, I understood and I felt like what I felt like it was clear for me that the technical facts made by University of Jaffna team was more solid compared to what I saw from the Peradeniya team. So therefore, my focus was primarily then argument clarity, especially relevance information, where we talk about accuracy and use of examples and evidences, and the clarity and the depth of the argument. For those points, my more points went to Jaffna. That's why we had some sort of disagreement. But end of the day, my fellow colleagues, my fellow judges, both Senuri and Kovita, they were primarily focusing on the soft aspects of a debate, like how well the team can make a judgment, how good they are defending their judgment, how good they are debunking the others' judgment. So in that aspect, my other two judges were in the other side. So I respectfully agree with my other judges, and so that's my point of view. And congratulations, team, again, Peradeniya team, for winners.
Thank you, esteemed judges, for your opinions. So thank you, University of Peradeniya and University of Jaffna. It was pleasure having you a part of this competition. Congratulations, University of Peradeniya. So we will keep you notified on the details of the finals. So audience, for more excitement, you can, if you have not been following our pages, you can follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn. We will keep you posted on what is happening with the debate in future. Thank you very much for everyone who joined with us today. Have a good evening.